Hello, my fellow movie fans, and welcome to another show of Feast of Films Theatre. Today starring Matthew Black and Ethan R. Hill. There, that's the intro.
Oh, yeah. Classic. Classic. What's going on, my fellow movie fans? Welcome to episode 17, part 2. There it is. There we go. I was going to say episode 2, and I was like, nope, that shit ain't right. It's episode 17, part 2. I'm your host, Matt Black. With me, as always, is
Ethan R. Hill.
And welcome back. We're talking about the best films of 2011, right? We're back.
Welcome back.
And we're talking about Ethan's picks, and then I got a scare question to scare him with. So we'll see if we can get a little jump at him. Like, boo! He didn't flinch. He's on his toes. He's ready. He's ready for me. So that's what we're gonna be talking about today. And that's what we're gonna be talking about today. And if you're watching on YouTube, just a quick shout out. You can also find the podcast on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Just type in A Feast of Films, and we should show up. Unless we don't, then go to a different podcast app and try again. That's how you find us. But yeah, those options are out there as well if you just want to be on the app.
Just look for our lovely faces and our colorful logos, and you'll find us no problem.
Our animated faces, animated heads, not animated head, just animated heads. So we're gonna try and keep the
That's a callback, man.
We're gonna try and keep the nasty level, the drinking level down on this episode, this part of episode 17. But Ethan, let's get right into it. Take us away. What are your best picks of 2011?
2011 was kind of a weird year for me because I remember a lot of the movies. I remember liking a lot of movies. I don't remember a lot of watching them in theaters though. Like, it's kind of weird.
Fair enough, yeah.
I just remember the movies, and I remember I really like some of them.
So it's kind of like literally the opposite for me, where I was like, I like the movies, but most importantly, it was kind of like the memories that were around the films.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the opposite.
And yeah, and it's weird because I get fond memories from any of these, and I still really I love the films that I picked.
Yeah.
I have very strong emotions about all of them. But yeah, I don't remember seeing them in theaters. Like, I know I saw them. I saw 2 of the 3 in theaters. Because the other one I didn't get a chance to because it was from Britain and, it didn't get screened here that I know of.
Fair enough.
But the first one that I really loved in 2011 was The Adventures of Tintin. Did you see The Adventures of Tintin?
I did not.
So
I did not see that at all.
Highly recommend it. It is a great Spielberg film. It is a great, it's produced by Peter Jackson and Steven Spielberg, directed by Steven Spielberg. It's an animated film, but it's also not an animated film because it was completely motion captured.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
They filmed it live action, but on a set.
Yeah, like on a set, motion capture stage.
Yeah. Completely. The entire thing motion captured. It is really cool to see these characters that I grew up with because I used to watch. So Tintin is like an old, I think it's a Belgium comic that then was translated into like a bunch of different languages.
It's quite old, yeah.
And it eventually made it to TV, which also got translated to a bunch of different languages. And the cartoon was actually aired on CBC. And it's one I watched on a regular basis every Saturday morning. So I've been a fan of Tintin for a long time. I used to borrow the books from the library as well. And yeah, it's just something that was like really near and dear to my heart growing up. And then they announced that they not only were they making a movie, but like 2 of my favorite filmmakers were teaming up to make this movie.
To like make it. Yeah.
It made, I was super excited for it. I was ready, and I was not disappointed in the slightest. They captured the spirit of it. The cool thing with the motion capture is that they basically made cartoon characters look like real people. Like, you could never find an actor who looks like Tintin, or you could never find an actor who looks like Captain Haddock.
Right.
Because they're such caricatures. But the motion capture works perfectly for that, and I honestly wish more animated films were made this way, where you could take or adaptations of comics or cartoons. They should be done as motion capture because then you can cast whoever you want. You can cast the best performer regardless of anything, really.
Yeah,
And
like literally, yeah.
you can make them look like this character that you're familiar with. So like I know sometimes when they adapt anime, they make characters look nothing like their their cartoon counterpart because it's
Anime
like
counterpart, yeah.
because it's like really hard to replicate that look. Not with motion capture. With motion capture, you can literally make them look almost identical, just slightly human them up a bit. Like it's
Or
such
the opposite, dehuman them.
yeah. Well, I
Like
mean,
most of Andy Serkis's characters, right?
it's again look
Whether
at
you're talking
Gollum.
about Golem or Caesar from Planet of the Apes that we talked
Yeah,
about last week. Yeah.
like that's the thing, and I think honestly, I mean, even if you look at what they did in Avatar with motion capture,
Yeah.
like it's a technology that again, it's another one like voice acting that we talked about
Mm-hmm.
last week. Motion capture is another art form that completely gets dismissed, and I think it shouldn't. I think it should be taken more seriously as an art form and as an art piece and a way to tell these stories and do adaptations and do them in an accurate way. Like it just blows me away. And even watching the behind the scenes stuff, the cool thing with it too, though, they have a main camera that they can make move wherever they want. But the way they also
Right.
shoot it to get all sides of everything, they have see through. Basically, they have see through sets and they have see through props. So it's all these props and the sets that are made the proper size for the actors, but they're made out of like pipe, so the light can actually get through and the camera can get through. So you can have like
Yeah.
say that there's a ball, it's just gonna be a soccer ball made out of like pipe and wire, and you can catch it and hold it and pass it, and then you can just animate whatever ball you want over top of it.
Right.
Like it's fascinating. Like the behind the scenes on this are almost as amazing as just the movie. And
It's such a cool technology. Like it's
Dude,
such a cool technology.
and with the whole environment being CG, your
Yeah.
camera work gets bonkers. There are some ridiculous shots, and some people got mad about it, being like, "Oh, well, if it's so realistic, why don't they do realistic camera moves?" It's like because it's an animated movie. It's not
Yeah.
a real movie. It's animated.
Mhm.
At the core, it's animated, and like it's crazy. Like it's absolutely crazy. The way Peter Jackson actually, because he wanted to do this, he knew Spielberg wanted to do this. So something happened, and they ended up communicating. And there was a basically Peter Jackson sent a demo of the dog Snowy. That's Tintin's dog. They
Oh,
did
okay.
he did a demo.
I figured so. I'm not sure, but I figured.
He did a demo of a CGI dog interacting with him to show Steven Spielberg they could do this. And then Steven Spielberg's like, "Great, I love this, but only if you play Captain Haddock," because that's how he dressed up. He dressed up in like a blue turtleneck with the captain's hat and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then he was like trying to convince Peter Jackson to play Captain Haddock for like the longest time, and he's like, "No, but we'll get Andy Serkis to play Captain Haddock," and like he's amazing. He's freaking amazing. He does the voice and everything. It's wonderful. Jamie Bell plays Tintin. I want to say Jamie Bell was also in he was in Planet of the Apes and was one of the ape actors with Andy Serkis.
Could have been. Could have been.
Nick Frost and Simon Pegg play.
All those guys are great.
They play
I
two
didn't know they were in
detective.
that movie.
Well, that's because they look nothing like them. Because they
Well,
play two.
obviously, yeah.
They play two detective twins or police officer twins. Thompson and Thompson. And it's
Sounds about right.
Like, dude, honestly, watch Tintin. It is one of my favorite movies. Period. Like, not even just of 2011. Like, I love that movie. It is so well done. I can't wait for the sequel. They keep putting it off, but I'll wait for another 20 years if I have to. If it's as good as the first one, and again, you don't have to worry about people aging because it's all motion capture.
CGI. Yeah, it's all computer generated graphics. At the
it's
end of the day.
it's also a great adventure film, and I'm a sucker for a good adventure film. Like it's a globe-trotting film, and they covered like I think three of the books in one story, and they're doing the same thing with the second one. And
Oh, okay.
man, like I don't even think you need to know Tintin to like it. Like in the soundtrack, oh my goodness, the soundtrack's amazing too. Like man, there's so much about this film that I just love, and it is easily hands down probably my favorite film like of 2011, if not one of my favorite films of all time. And it's one I always forget about, and then I see it and I'm like, that film's amazing. I love that film. Like it's just the amount of work and
It
effort
just
that went into it,
it
and
makes you feel happy.
it does. And it's again, it's just a good adventure, and I think it gets crapped on a lot. Like for what it is, a lot of people just hate it, and I have no clue why. Zero idea.
I specifically like avoided Tintin because I did not grow up with Tintin. I was not aware of Tintin.
Mm.
I saw the trailer for Tintin and I was like, this looks weird. I'm good. Like,
It
it was definitely not what it did. There, there's not, I don't know. Sometimes there's just movies that really just don't appeal to you, right? Like
Oh,
you
100%.
see a trailer or something and you're just, it's not like you'd be like, oh, I might watch that sometime. It's like, I'm probably going to actively avoid that. Caroline, was that
Coraline?
one that was called Coraline? I actively avoided that movie because I'm like, that looks weird as hell. I'm good. Like there's just movies that look weird to me, and not that you shouldn't give movies that you're not into a try. Like if someone's at my house and like, oh, let's watch this, I'd be like, okay, sure, whatever. Or if my kid wants to watch it or wife, whatever, that's fine. It's always good to try out new things. But yeah, it was just one of those movies that just didn't strike a chord with me at all. In fact, it probably struck a chord. If it did, it was more of like, don't watch this film kind of chord. But that could be more in the marketing though than anything, and not being actually invested in the character or knowing of the character beforehand. I can tell you the trailer and the marketing for that didn't really work for me.
See,
But
I don't honestly, I don't
yeah, if
even
you say it's great, then maybe I
like.
will take a look.
I don't even remember the trailer for it. I don't even think I watched the trailer. I think I heard there was a Tintin movie, and I'm like, I'm
And you
there.
were in. You're just like,
Like,
hands down, man. I'm in.
and dude, it stayed true to the heart of what I remember growing up. And like, at
Right.
the end of the day, do you like Spielberg action adventure movies?
Oh, is that a question?
Yes, that's a question to you.
Oh,
Do you like
I thought
Spiel?
that was.
Do you
I
like
thought that was. Sorry, go ahead.
no worries. Do you like Spielberg action adventure films? Like, are those kind of movies that you enjoy?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, sure, yeah. Like, I love most, I enjoy most of Spielberg's work. He's pretty good, to say it in the most least way underrated way possible. To say he's pretty good. Um, I thought you were asking like a rhetorical question, like you were gonna answer your own question, like, do you like these movies? Well, then I thought you were gonna keep going, so I was
I
just
mean, like,
waiting,
yeah,
and
like
I was
that's.
like,
I guess
oh
that's it too.
no, that,
I was genuinely curious because I don't know if that is one of your like top types of films or not. But like,
like yeah,
if you like
like,
Spielberg's
most of
adventure
Spielberg's
films,
stuff is pretty good. Yeah.
if you like specifically if you watch like Indiana Jones, it's got a little bit
Okay.
of that
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Catch Me If You Can?
Ba-da-da-da, ba-ba-da. Once a long time ago when it
So
came out,
that's
pretty much.
so
It
that's
was
when I
good.
watched. That's when I watched after Tintin,
Yeah.
and like it gave me some serious Tintin vibes. Just kind of the globe trotting adventure kind of mystery idea. Like
Right.
dude, like it makes sense that Spielberg made it, and like Peter Jackson producing it, spot on choice too. Like their chemistry just made sense, and it translates well into the film. But again, it does look weird because it's uncanny valley. Like because it doesn't they aren't real people, but they look like real people, but they look
Yeah,
like
they look
cartoon
close enough.
characters.
Yeah. Some
But
kind of
it
weird in
works.
between.
But
Maybe
it
that's what it
works.
was. Maybe it was
And
like the look of it.
what's what a lot of people said about Beowulf too. But like Beowulf is weird because they made people look exactly like the actor they were doing. So why did you CGI over them in the first place if they look the way that they look anyway? Where
Seems fair point.
Whereas in this one, they took it a step further and they took the actors, and like most what you see from the actors is like what you see with most motion capture. You see the eyes.
Right.
Like when you watch Caesar perform in any of the Planet of the Apes movies, you see Andy Serkis's eyes, and like it's actually great because like watching the first Godzilla movie, Andy Serkis did Godzilla, and we were watching the movie, and you don't really get a good shot of his eyes, and then it's when he falls to the ground, and he's looking at like um Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, and you see the sad eyes, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's Andy Serkis! Holy crap! Like that's
Huh.
the beauty of motion capture, man. You get the performance from the eyes.
I did not know Andy Serkis was Godzilla.
Yep,
Interesting.
dude, he's the motion capture king. Like he's so good.
Well, yeah, I didn't know they
Actually,
motion captured Godzilla.
on a tribute to just his acting in general. So I just finished listening to the audio drama of The Sandman. I think I mentioned it last week.
You might have.
Um, Andy Serkis plays a character in there that like I know which character he's playing. I'm listening to him act as this character, and I can't hear Andy Serkis.
Hmm.
But it's him. It's him. It's what he's credited as. I know he did the
Yeah.
voice for it, but it doesn't sound anything like Andy Serkis, and it's really, really cool. Like it's that man is just he's become such a great actor. And like maybe he's always been a great actor. We just didn't know about him before Lord of the Rings. But like honestly, he is to me
Likely,
he's
yeah.
one of the one of the best actors out there, and he deserves way more work than what he's getting. And hey, but we're getting him as Alfred, so I mean, I can't really complain too much.
Yeah, I think recently he's been getting a lot of work. Like whether he's in the motion capture suit or whether he's just being a normal actor. Like I think he's actually been getting quite a bit of work lately. And yeah, that's kind of the funny thing too, right? With like as big as like as many Hollywood stars as there are, Hollywood is so much bigger, and the amount of actors that we actually don't know of is so much bigger. Like the
Oh yeah,
pool of actors, like it's unbelievable, right? Because you think like, yeah, where was Andy Serkis before like he showed up? And oftentimes, like these guys will show up time and time again in these films, but it's not until they hit like their moment that like people actually even notice them. That's the fun part about going to old movies and being like,
oh
yo,
hey,
that
it's that
like
guy.
what's this dude doing here? That's like watching Coming to America and watch Samuel L. Jackson rob a fast food store. Like but he wasn't called Samuel L. Jackson. It was he had a different name. I think it was like
He was
Albert Jackson or something. But like he wasn't Samuel L. You know what I mean? Like he didn't have like his trademark. Like this was his like stage name. It was like his credit was different, but um was it? No, it might have been Samuel L. Jackson. I can't remember. But either way, you're seeing like Samuel L. Jackson in this 10-second role in an Eddie Murphy movie. You know what I mean? Like you're just like, okay, what? Like,
Whereas if you look at it from
wow.
today's lens, it's like, oh look,
Wow.
that was a Sam Jackson cameo, and it's
Yeah.
like, no,
But
that
like no,
wasn't.
that wasn't a Sam Jackson cameo. That's just where he was at the time, right? Like so it's yeah, it's interesting.
um,
Tis the grind. The
Jamie
climb.
Jamie Bell, who plays Tintin, he's also fantastic. He's a great actor. He's gotten kind of some bad roles, but he's always been great in everything I've seen him in. He actually in Fan Four Stick he played Ben Grimm, like he played the Thing, and like
Oh,
that was a
okay.
weird casting choice for me because like he's a smaller guy, but like he still did a good. He did what he could with that role, and he's
Right.
still a good actor. But and he was also in Jumper as like the guy who's like with Hayden Christensen, like the other
Oh,
Jumper guy.
yeah, I know which. I do not remember.
Like when you
I
and
try to
that's
probably forget
it's I
most of that
feel
movie.
bad because like he's a really good actor, but I can't remember anything except for the bad films. But I know
That he's
he's in
actually in.
other films that I oh no he's in King Kong. He's in Peter Jackson's King Kong. He's like the young shipmate guy who's like following around the crew and stuff like that.
Is he like that blonde dude? Was he blonde or like red?
He's a redhead kid,
Okay,
and
I
he's younger.
vaguely know what you're
He's
talking
the guy who
about.
likes to read and stuff like that. And
Okay,
yeah,
okay, 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 okay.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
dude, he's
yeah.
good.
I'm seeing it. I'm
He
seeing it.
he's good. I'm a
I'm seeing him
huge fan of him as an actor. I think he's great. Um, Daniel Craig's in the movie too.
in Tintin.
In Tintin, Daniel Craig is a character in Tintin. That's all I'm gonna say about
Cool.
it. I'm not gonna say any
Daniel
more about
Craig
it.
is also a stormtrooper in The Force Awakens.
He's more than a stormtrooper in this movie, but he's in this
Okay,
movie
but here's a stormtrooper in Force Awakens. This is Daniel Craig's in Star Wars. James Bond is in Star Wars, probably incognito.
undercover.
Yeah.
um, but no, like honestly, man, like I think you should give it a chance. I'm not gonna force you to watch anything, but I really like this movie, and I think it
Huh.
would be up your alley. I think you have to get past the weirdness, but I think it's definitely worthwhile.
I will check it out. You text me when you've watched Darkest Hour, and I will watch Tintin.
So November,
You
are
text
we
me
high
when you
fiving?
watch Darkest Hour, then I will watch Tintin. You
All
have
right,
my word on that. That's a
all right.
guarantee.
If it gets you to watch
That's a
Tintin, then
mad
maybe
black
I'll
guarantee.
actually knowing me, I'll go and watch Tintin before I watch Darkest Hour.
Probably. You'll be like, I watched Tintin. Does that count? Like,
Yeah,
no. Should you just watch Darkest Hour again? I mean, I will. Sure, why not? But like, nah, you gotta watch it, man. Just reverse psychology shit.
exactly. But moving on to my second pick. My second pick
Sure.
is another one that is very near and dear to my heart, and I grew up reading these guys. Like it's another comic book, and grew up reading them. Grew up watching their TV shows. There's a lot of parallels between Tintin and this, and it's X Men
Okay.
First Class.
Oh, okay, good, cool. I was like, finally a movie I've seen.
And
Okay,
like,
cool, man.
so I enjoy the X Men movies to a point. The first few, especially for coming out in the 2000s, the first couple, like X Men and X Men 2, are great. They're
Right.
they're solid movies. I kind of am annoyed that like they went with leather as opposed to like the spandex costumes. Like,
Sure, sure.
but it was around a time where they didn't think that that was an actual thing. You couldn't do that. You just couldn't have them look like the comic books because that just wouldn't be realistic or cool looking. It would look too lame. But I love them. I watch those two all the time. And honestly, I used to watch the crap out of X Men 3 until I, watched it enough that I started to realize, as I kept getting older, I'm like, wow, this movie's really not good.
Not
It's
that
really
great.
not good.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I know that
then we got,
feeling.
and then we got X Men Origins Wolverine, and like again, I enjoyed it for what it was, but it just wasn't X Men. Like, just nothing felt like X Men.
Yeah.
And like, I they were my favorite superhero team. I love the X Men. I like still do. I love the cartoon X Men Evolution. Like you name an X Men property, I have probably seen it, and I probably really liked it, except for in the
You're
later
just like,
years.
I love it.
When basically, eventually, I started losing interest because it just felt they kept putting so much emphasis on Wolverine,
Yeah,
and I really
for sure. Yeah.
Wolverine is a good team member, and he's good on his own, but he doesn't need to be the lead of every single movie, and
Yeah.
that I was really really struggling with.
He sold tickets. That's again marketing.
Yep, but as an X Men fan, there's so many other characters than Wolverine. Like, we needed to get away from him, and we did. In the year 2011, we got away from Wolverine, and it was
We ditched his
amazing.
metal ass.
I love Hugh Jackman. I love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I think he's a little too tall, and like there's little nitpicks there. But as
Yeah.
an actor who has made the character his own, 100%, I am behind Hugh Jackman and playing Wolverine. I think that he did a good job.
One of the greatest entertainers of our time.
100%. First Class was pretty much everything I ever wanted from an X-Men movie, though.
Yeah.
Like, it was a bit weird that Mystique and Charles knew each other, but again, when First Class came out, this was a pitch that it was a reboot to the whole thing.
Right.
Like, this wasn't going to be a prequel to those ones. They're re-envisioning the whole series. There's going to be a little bit of references to the old stuff, but overall, it's new characters going forward. It's not going to tie into these older ones. It's cool. So they did weird things like, Mystique was somehow connected to Charles at an early age. They didn't have Juggernaut be his brother. They made changes, which I was fine with. Introducing Havoc, I think that was a good choice.
Yeah.
It was fun to see the kind of construction of that team. even the relationship between him and Magneto was phenomenal. Magneto's journey,
Like the
oh
core
my
of that
goodness.
film. Yeah.
Magneto's journey is amazing. The recreation of that scene from the opening of the first X-Men movie was
The first, yeah.
phenomenal. The coin scenes were amazing. The whole like him like encountering like the ex-Nazi soldiers and stuff like that in the bar,
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal. My opinion, one of the best villain themes ever written for movies. Just that Donna, 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 Donna. It's super simple, but it's menacing, it's chilling, it's badass. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
so great. Like there's so much good that came out of that movie. They brought in the yellow costumes. The Beast looked a little weird, but at the comics at the time, that's what he looked like. They made him more
Yeah.
cat-like. So that made sense to me. That clicked. I'm like, okay, makes sense. Like everything about that movie just clicked for me. And then Days of Future Past happened. And it just retconned everything that First Class did, and nothing mattered. And like and then Apocalypse came out and they retconned it even more. And they've just done and like what happened was so Matthew
You're just
Vaughn.
like, no.
No, like it honestly it hurts. It hurt me so much. I still haven't watched Dark Phoenix.
Oh, I wouldn't though.
Like as an
I wouldn't.
X-Men fan, I've seen every one of those movies in theaters. Actually, no,
Yeah.
cool fun story. I got to talk to the guy who played Sabretooth in the first X-Men movie on the phone.
Oh, okay. What?
'Cause-
Wait. Okay. Just wait. The first Sabretooth. Okay.
Yes.
First movie.
Yeah, Tyler
okay,
Mane.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Because so
How'd you get that? How'd you do
so okay, so either there's one of two things. Either my dad is an expert liar and just got some random guy to talk to me on the phone,
that?
which is
very
possible.
well could be. Yeah.
But the guy who played Sabretooth is an actor named Tyler Mane, who was actually from Saskatchewan.
Oh.
He was a
Good
wrestler.
old Saskatchewan boy.
So either my dad lied to me and got some guy to do an impression,
Yeah.
or I actually got to talk to this guy on the phone. And basically, my dad knew him through work, just because he had to shop where my dad worked. And basically, one day, I get this phone call at home. And my dad's like, yeah, someone wants to talk to you. And on the other end, it's Tyler Mane. And he's like, you would know me from I'm Sabretooth. Like, that's who I am. And I had action figures of Hugh Jackman and Sabretooth. All that kind of stuff. And like, then, so like when when X-Men came out, we were like, what, 10? 9 or 10?
What year did it come out again?
I think 2000. So like we were 9. And he's like, hey, and you should look at me for this upcoming film. Like, it was a couple of years after, I think. And he's like, yeah, look at my upcoming film, Troy. Because he's in Troy. And my dad's like, hey, he's a bit too young for that kind of thing.
He's a bit. Your dad's like, oh hell no! Don't be telling my kid to watch Troy.
But no, I got to talk to him a little bit. He's, said hi, and it was good to talk to me. And he heard I was a big fan, all this kind of stuff. And then I got an autograph from him.
Wow, that's pretty cool, man.
I don't know where it is now because, I was 11 when I got it. It might be somewhere up. I might actually have it somewhere here.
Man, I hope Tyler doesn't hear this podcast.
I mean, if he does, hi, you talked to me when I was a small child on the telephone, and
he lost your autograph.
No, I have it somewhere. I just don't know where it is. I've moved a lot. But I used to have it
And he got really drunk one time.
I used to have it pinned up in my room. And no, it's just like, it was just a really cool experience. It was just something
that is pretty cool, though. That is pretty cool. Like, joshing aside, that's pretty cool.
Like, it was, but again, it was over the phone. So for all I know, my dad just had a random customer who's like, yeah, tell my son that you're this guy. Maybe
like,
just
unless
never
your dad,
happened.
unless your dad had to, unless he was, doing a bet or something, or they're, this elaborate prank, I don't feel like your dad would randomly,
who can damage
just
their
be
kid the
you,
most?
come here. Yeah, exactly. I don't feel like your dad would lie about that.
Out of every celebrity to, tell me that I know, or that he would know, why Sabretooth from X-Men?
Yeah, exactly.
But no, and then it was cool because I got to, so I've seen him in other things now too. Like he played Michael Myers in the Rob Zombie Halloween films.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, so like
Cool.
so it's been
Didn't
kind of
know.
interesting. It was kind of interesting seeing this
Hmm.
guy and other stuff after I got to talk to him on the phone. Like it was pretty. That's again, it's a really weird random story that I don't know how it happened or like it just happened. It was really cool.
It just
Like
worked.
um, so
That's cool.
anyway, so I've loved X-Men, and now Matthew Vaughn was given the franchise for First Class, and he had this whole
Right.
idea for a trilogy. He had a whole idea for what he was going to do with it. I was really excited for this and on board for it. And then for some reason, maybe fan backlash or anything like that, I have no idea. They brought back Bryan Singer, who then spent the next 3 movies. Like I think he directed Days of Future Past, and then he produced the next 2. And
Yeah.
for some reason, those ones are just filled with references to X-Men 2 and 3, and I don't know why. What was the point? And did you not realize
Because Brian Singer is questionable at best.
Dark Phoenix is essentially just a remake of X-Men 3?
It is, and apparently
Like
it's
what
worse.
the heck?
Which
What was the
who would
point?
have thunk?
Like it's I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm frustrated. I'm mad. Like I don't understand why you need to like retread stories you already told.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to start introducing changes so you can move forward with the franchise without relying on old things. But like especially like why would you take characters that have already been to, is it Rikers Island? Or is it like whatever the place up north was where Wolverine was? Why did you need to go back there?
Yeah.
Like what was the purpose of that other than to be like, "Hey guys, remember I made a movie once and like people liked it. Let's look at it again."
I feel like
Like
that's so much of that stuff. Like, hey guys, remember these movies I made? They were really good back in the
like
day.
that's basically
And
what it was. And
like, look at here they are again. Like, okay.
first first class wasn't that. First class was
No, it wasn't.
like there was a
No.
couple little nods and references. Again, Wolverine showing up halfway through to be like, "Hey, yeah, we're starting a school," and he tells him to f off. Like I think
That
that's
was
awesome.
great. Yeah, that was
Like
great.
like I think that's great, and I think that like that's all we needed. And they set up so much, and they could have done so much more. And then they didn't. They did nothing. They immediately the second follow up film was literally about resetting things back to the way they were, and
Pretty
making
much.
and like
Yeah.
I just it hurt.
Into the same continuity. Yeah.
And then every single what is it? Every single film afterwards is like a leap in a decade, because like
Yeah.
which makes no sense
But
because
yeah,
they don't
but yet,
they
like
don't
all the
age.
characters look exactly the same. It's like
They
okay,
age like 1 or 2 years, but it's like yeah, because it's like
if
the 60s
that,
and then the
if that.
70s and like
Well, one is in the like okay, Dark Phoenix is in the 90s, and
yeah,
you're
they
just
jump
like,
30
God damn!
years.
I guess it was really freaking shitty year for Magneto,
Like
because the original trilogy came out in 2000s where you had like Ian McKellen, and then it's like, oh, but in the 90s though, Michael Fassbender, who doesn't look a day over the Magneto from the 60s, like. So I guess the 90s was just a really rough year for everyone.
like it just man, like
Holy
it just
shit.
hurt me so much, and that's where like I'm honestly not upset that Disney has them now. I'm
Yeah.
I'm kind of okay with it because I've been off the X-Men train since Apocalypse. Like it was funny because Prosser was watching it with me, and he basically the way he described it to people was like it was like watching someone on a roller coaster because like every minute you were feeling a different emotion because there are
Yeah.
some moments you're like yeah that's great, and then other moments you're like really really, and other moments you're like
Like,
what are you
oh.
doing? Like I
Yeah.
ranged from being like super happy to super angry, and like man, like I don't know, like I don't understand, like because I don't think First Class bombed either. Like I don't think it was a bomb of a film. Like I thought it did pretty well.
I don't know exactly like what it made as far as its box office, but anytime you talk to anybody about First Class, whether you're talking about an X-Men fan, whether you're talking about just like a normal movie fan, most people enjoyed X-Men First Class. Here's like another story around X-Men First Class. So when I first watched it, because I was kind of like you. Like I was off the X-Men train. I didn't love X-Men obviously as much as you growing up. I was definitely more on like Batman, Spider-Man,
Yeah,
you know.
the basic
We
stuff.
talked about like the main Saturday morning cartoon superheroes we talked about.
X-Men was
And
part of
like
that.
X-Men was one of them for a time, for sure. But like X-Men wasn't really like too much my jam. Like I was like, okay, other than like Wolverine, I was like, badass, that's sick as hell. Like the majority of people. Um so like I was never this big fan, but I really enjoyed the movies. They were really cool to see these characters get brought into live action. 3 was like, okay, meh. When First Class came out, I was kind of like done with X-Men at that point cuz you had what X-Men Origins, and was there something in between? I don't think
There was
so. Then it
X-Men
was First
Origins, and
Class,
then
right?
they kept teasing that they were gonna do like
Well, did
Magneto
they do?
Origins and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah, they
which
were
is
like,
kind
we're
of
gonna do a bunch of Origins, which is
First
kind of
Class
what First Class
became,
ended up being. Yeah,
but so much better than what they were
but
talking about.
yeah, so I didn't watch First Class when it first came out. Definitely not in theaters. What actually ended up happening was in our church youth group that we were looking after, we set up a projector and projected it onto like the side of the church or something, or like put up a screen, I can't remember, and brought like big ass speakers and just like watched it on like the lawn, which was like pretty cool. We had like an outdoor movie night. And we watched X-Men First Class, and I was like, oh my god, how did I not watch this movie? I'm like, it is so awesome.
Right?
So I don't think it would have got bad reviews. Like from someone who's not like a major X-Men fan, I really, really enjoyed the film. So I can't see that other people like there was a lot of backlash to it. Of course, there's gonna be the odd person here or there, the odd critic here or there who doesn't enjoy the film, but it was a good movie. At the end of the day, it was a good movie. And Michael Fassbender as Magneto killed it so damn freaking hard. I loved him. That's when I first was like, man, Michael Fassbender is the shit. And then he was in a lot of really crappy movies. Like he's kind of gone down in my rankings. Not that he's not still a
Oh, he's
great
still a great.
actor,
Do you think he would
but
make a
the
great Mister
films that
Freeze?
he's man, it's just like the films that he is in haven't been that great for the
They should
last little while.
they should 100% make him Mister Freeze in the Robert Pattinson Batman universe.
That would be interesting.
He would fit in, man.
He could probably do it.
Honestly,
But yeah, he was a great Magneto. He was so good.
I'm a big James McAvoy fan, and I loved him as Professor
Yeah.
X, and
Yeah.
I've loved him in pretty much everything
McAvoy.
I've seen. Dude, actually, going back to the Sandman, he plays the main character in the Sandman, and he's great. The dude's just one of the best actors out there, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, so you put those two together. You put James McAvoy and you put Michael Fassbender in a film together.
Right.
Their chemistry is phenomenal, especially in that film.
They hold the film. Like they're the glue. They're like the two pieces that like keep the whole thing together. The rest of the X-Men are great, but it's all about Magneto and Charles. Like
And
that's the heart of the story.
watching their friendship fall apart,
Yeah.
and then every other movie after that just retread the exact same story,
Over and
where it's like
over and
we
over
have to
again.
re-team
They
up
get
again,
back together and
and then
then
they
shit
break
falls
up.
apart.
Like it's
Yeah.
and every it was the same thing for every film after that, and it's like I want to go to the universe where Matthew Vaughn got to make his trilogy, and I want to see what the heck he was gonna do.
It would have been interesting to see because yeah, First Class was definitely unique, and it was starting its own trail.
Well,
So
dude,
it's
there
kind
were
of
some
sad that
deep
didn't
cuts.
keep going.
There were some deep cuts with the heroes that they had. Like I never expected to see a live action Banshee. Like that was
Yeah,
amazing. Like I'm very upset. I'm very upset. But
even Kevin Bacon was pretty good in that movie.
Kevin Bacon was phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah.
His powers were kind of weird, but like phenomenal.
His powers are very strange, but it was pretty good.
But like I don't know, man. Like X-Men is one of those franchises that make me simultaneously super happy and super angry.
At the same
Like
time,
very much so. But like First Class is
Deadpool's fun.
yeah, when Deadpool actually got to be Deadpool, and when Colossus actually got to be Colossus.
Mm-hmm.
Like why did they make him like sexy small guy who like kind of gets bigger with art? Like no, Colossus is a big Russian dude. Like that's Colossus. Like that was more accurate.
Oh yeah, like obviously I definitely meant the Deadpool movies. I didn't
Oh, I
mean
know.
like Deadpool and like X-Men Origins.
But
That was
I'm saying what Deadpool
travesty.
got to do for X-Men even like
Yeah,
honestly in Deadpool 2 with that little cameo the X-Men, I freaking love that.
like in like The Office. Yeah.
Yeah. But like no, like it just again like there hasn't really been good Deadpool. There hasn't been good X-Men content until Deadpool came out
Hmm.
after First Class. Like and
Yeah, after
why
First
would
Class. Yeah.
like but no, so that's why X-Men First Class is like one of my highlights of 2011 because like I finally got the X-Men film that I always wanted and then
And it's a one-off.
and it's a one-off and it
You're
just
just
like
like, come on,
no it's not dude
come
it's not even a
on,
one-off. It's literally
come
every
on.
sequel is doing everything they can to destroy what it was and it
Ah,
makes me so mad because why like what
well,
did it
because Bryan Singer's a mess. Like, why they kept hiring him for movies, I don't know.
because he's got connections and probably dirt on a lot of people but that's
Ugh,
just the theory.
possibly. Who knows in Hollywood? Who knows?
It's got that Kevin Spacey connection.
Okay.
No, dude, they're friends. Like they're good friends. Like
Oh,
that's because Bryan Singer directed Usual Suspects, and Kevin Spacey was in that as one of the main.
well, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
like
That
again,
tracks.
I know I keep pitching you to like look up things that are just really weird and messed up, but like look up that. Like you don't have to, and I don't recommend it. It's not a happy trail to go on,
Yeah.
but it can just add to your fuel of being upset about X-Men and what
No.
happened to it. Because
Hilarious.
it's why I'm upset about it. I mean, it's not why. There's a lot of reasons why I'm
I
upset
was
about
like
X-Men.
that one reason specifically.
It's one of
He's
the
like,
many.
after all the things I said, this one thing is why. Like, okay,
No, man. Like I'm like it's a messed up situation. But at the end of the day, like
bro.
I don't know. Again, X-Men First Class is a highlight and will always be and cannot be touched and cannot be tainted. It'll be probably my favorite X-Men film until they finally release maybe New Mutants. Maybe did that get pushed
That
back again,
one's
or did
gonna
that actually get
be.
released?
No, it got released. It got released with like the least amount of fanfare ever. I think it got released. I'm pretty sure because I did see people have reviews on it.
I want to watch it.
But that was a while. That was a while back. A while back. I think it's gonna be coming to. Must be coming to streaming or something
If
soon.
it's coming to streaming or
I
release,
saw
I'm still
something.
gonna. It's one I'll give a shot because I love the New Mutants too, and like I'm
Yeah.
cool. I'm definitely down to give them a shot.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that'll probably be a one-off too. Either way, right? Like
oh, it is
Disney
but
is gonna take it all in a different direction for the most part. It should be interesting to see what they do. And yeah, I hope you get the X-Men you're always wanted,
I hope
always
so.
looking for.
It would be nice, but I'm just not optimistic at this point. At this point,
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, let's hope for the. It's the same thing with Fantastic Four.
Well,
Like,
they'll probably bring like Wolverine back first. Like that's kind of
but
who I
like,
first
but
see.
no, leave
But I
Wolverine
know
alone.
you'd be
Just
like,
let
"Come
him
on,
lie.
man, come
Look,
on,
they did
man."
a great thing with Logan, and they
I
could
could
just
see
let him
Wolverine.
lie.
Well, yeah, I don't think it'd be Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, but
No, but I mean, like Wolverine, I think they should just let as a character rest for a couple movies, and then like bring him in like the second or third one. I think is when he needs
a little
to
bit
show up.
later on.
I don't think he should be in the first one. That's my personal opinion,
Depends how they end up bringing the X-Men in the first place, right?
dude.
Because
I have a
like,
whole pitch for X-Men. I have a whole pitch for Fantastic Four. I like Disney
probably
should
something
just
to do with
hire
the
me, but
multiverse or like time travel or
mostly time travel.
what
Like
they've already done.
Fantastic Four, I'd get them like they were heroes in the '60s, like with Hank Pym and stuff like that. But they
Oh,
got
I'm
lost
pretty
in
sure I
time.
heard.
and
Didn't
then
someone? I heard that pitch already
I've
online
been
or something.
I've been pitching that idea
or maybe
probably
you told
for
it to me. I don't remember.
possibly I've been pitching it for pretty well 10 years, like
Hmm.
even pre like ever since they've been kind of wondering about bringing it into the Marvel universe. I've been
Before they had the rights and stuff.
100%. X-Men I think it's a pretty easy fix. All you got to do is just mutants have been in hiding for the longest of time. It's fine. Like it's pretty easy. X-Men is pretty
Yeah.
easy to sneak in there. But no, it's just I don't know. I'm not optimistic, but at the same time, it's out of my hands. I don't have that kind of power. I wish I did, but I don't have that kind of power.
Right.
But that being said, I want to talk a little bit about a film that wasn't as big, Like maybe it was bigger than I thought it was, but I didn't really hear much about it. And then I can't even remember how I watched it the first time. But it's a movie. It's a British horror sci-fi movie called Attack the Block, and
Right.
it's
You were telling me about this. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
it's about a bunch of kids in a rough neighborhood who basically have an
Attack the
alien.
block.
No, they have an
Oh.
alien invasion happen to them.
Oh.
Yeah, like and
What
there's
a
these
twist.
these weird aliens that show up that basically I can't remember. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I watched it, and I love it, and I need to actually find a legitimate copy of it. Um, but basically, they find this one alien, and they get attacked by this one alien, so they beat it to death, and they take it back to like their home, to their tower where they're to their block where they kind of like hole up, and they give it to like the guy who's running the crime there and stuff like that. And then suddenly a bunch of other aliens that are pitch black except for their mouths start falling from the sky and start attacking them, and they don't know why. They start like killing their friends, and like they're all trying to like fend off these aliens, and then they figure out that they're actually these are all the males, and that was like the female, and like they're all attracted to the pheromones of her,
Oh, okay.
and like it's just chaos ensues. Like, and it's got a really great cast. I said John Boyega's in it. I believe Jodie Whittaker is too. She's like the newest Doctor for Doctor Who.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Jodie Whittaker's in it too. Like, it's man, like it's just really good, and it's pretty scary, but like not super scary. Um,
Like a good time, like fun at the same time,
yeah, it's really fun,
kind
and
of
it's just
thing.
I don't even know how I found it. I just did, and it's just a fun movie, and I don't know. Anytime I think about it, I'm just like I really need to watch this again. I really need to watch it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So not quite as much of a long rant as I had about X-Men or Tintin, but no, it's another really
But it
really
was
good
still a
one.
gooder. Yeah. No, I've never heard of that movie. Never seen that movie. Does sound interesting though. I do like watching again. Like I was kind of saying earlier, I do like watching these films where you have these actors that are like so big and well known. Watching the films where they're not so big and well known. That is a lot of fun. Kind of like what I was saying before, what I find really interesting about these films is watching these movies where you had like the big stars like John Boyega as they are now. Like they're pretty big. I mean, he's not the biggest, but like he was in Star Wars, people know him. And then you watch films where it's like no one knew who this cat was at the time. Like no one knows these people. I love watching those types of movies where you're like, oh, this person's in this movie, crazy, and you see kind of like the low budget gigs they're rolling with or like the smaller roles or something or
See, and
it's
like
just it's kind of fun to watch.
the
And I
really
like
cool.
British movies too, they're kind of fun. Anything like Simon Pegg and like Nick Frost do is like hilarious. I
Oh,
love
Nick
their
Frost is in the
movies.
movie.
It
Nick Frost
see
is
that's
totally
not
in the movie.
surprising, that's not surprising to me at all. That's not surprising.
Well, because I the guy who directed it is actually someone who is good friends with Edgar Wright.
Okay.
Um, but no, so it was really cool for me because I actually got to see it in the order of John Boyega's career because I saw this back in 2000. I saw this well before Star
Before
Wars.
Star Wars.
So like when I saw like I loved this movie and then I saw this guy is gonna be in Star Wars, I was like, yes, I was rooting that this guy actually got like work. Yes, amazing. Like like it
And
just
then they did nothing with this character after the first movie. Like,
yeah, I know.
dump his ass.
But he was still like honestly, as much as they didn't do much with his character, he still did great in all three films.
He
Like
did what, like,
dude,
he acted well. It's just,
yeah,
they did
but
not, the stories did nothing with his character, right?
but dude, John Boyega has been someone I've been cheering on since this movie. Like and all the actors, like all the kid actors, and even Jodie Whittaker, like I was like, yeah, like I really like this. I really like this actress. And she was like, I didn't really know what she was in. And then years later, she gets announced as the Doctor, and I'm like, I've seen her before. Where the heck have I seen her
Where have I
before?
seen her?
And people are like, oh, well, she's in Broadchurch, she's in this, and I'm like, no, that's not it. And I go back through her IMDb and see Attack of the Block. I'm like, that's who it is. Yes, yes. Well, that's always a
Now
great
it makes
feeling.
sense.
It's always a great feeling when you're like cheering on people when they're in
Yeah.
like a film that not many, like maybe a lot of people saw it, but like as far as I know, at least in Canada, no one else had really seen it.
Yeah.
So like,
Definitely wasn't mainstream.
so getting to see these people actually like further their careers and like reach a level of success, like one of the other guys who's in it is in DC Legend of Tomorrow for a while. Like he plays Firestorm. I don't know if you've seen Legends of
Oh yeah,
Tomorrow.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
no.
he
I've
plays
seen Legends
Firestorm.
of Tomorrow. I know who Firestorm is. Yeah,
Yeah,
that other
he
little brother.
yeah, and
Cool.
he's like dude, like it's just such
He was good
man,
too.
like
Yeah.
it's so good, and it's just yeah, like I want to go rewatch it now, but can't recommend that one enough.
Well, technically, he's like one half of Firestorm, and it was like,
Yes,
I was like, the old man or the black kid. I'm gonna assume it's the black kid.
yes. Victor
Attack the Block.
Victor Garber's also really a great actor too. I
He
love
is
him in
fantastic. I didn't know
anything
his
that I've
name. I was
seen him
like the
in.
old guy. I can't. He's a great character actor. You know what I mean? Like he's
You know the
he's oh he's like it's like that guy, that character from that movie that I don't know his name. Like he's
you know
in a
the
lot of
first
stuff and he
place
does such a good job at it.
you know first place I saw him
Great
was on
character actor.
Alias because my sister watched Alias and he was the dad on that show. So that's
Oh really?
yeah, that's what I recognized him from.
I can never like peg him like in what movie I've seen him or like who he is, like the actor's name, but it's like, man, I love this dude. I was
No, he's
hyped when he
great.
was in Legends of Tomorrow because I was like, oh yeah, this guy, this cat.
Like man, like it's such a like it's so good. It's just a really and it's a weird movie. It's a really weird movie. And I want to say actually it's connected to Tintin because I'm pretty sure Joe Cornish also did a draft on Tintin. I like how my movies
Wouldn't
just somehow
know.
I'm looking it up. I'm looking it up, man.
Is it
Yeah,
funny?
he was one of the writers on Tintin.
There you go.
Yeah, it's got a bit of humor to it. It's got a bit of action to it, some horror, some sci-fi. Like it's got a little bit of everything, man. Like it's good.
Funker. I'm gonna have to check it
So,
out. See if I can find it.
Most of my honorable mentions would be stuff you've already mentioned, so I don't really have much more else to add to 2011 other than
Well, mention them.
I don't really remember. Like there's the Muppets.
Oh, you don't remember?
Yeah, there was the Muppets. There was the Marvel movies that came out. I'm pretty sure if I
Yeah.
went back, I could find more. But like, honestly, these three are just the ones that stuck out to me the most.
Yeah.
Like, and then for some reason,
That was
I
your
don't know-
2011 that you were like, hell yeah, man.
Yeah, like it was overall, it
Hell
was a
yeah.
solid year for film. But like, those are the ones that just really like have stuck with me.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Cool,
you got
man.
you got a scary question of the day for me?
Yeah, yeah, I do. All right, so yeah, I was just thinking. I have no final thoughts on your movies. Just to
Well, considering you've seen First Class,
mention them. I saw one of them, and I was like, "Hey, man,
but-
I put in my honorable mentions, and I did like the film. It was good.
But
I
that's
agree,
also
with you.
fair.
But I
The
think
one
we
that I-
talked about it a bit, though.
the one that I saw on yours was the one that I
Muppets.
saw on yours was the Muppets. So I mean, we're even.
Yeah.
We both
One
didn't
and
see
one.
two of the others, and we both saw one. Of
One
the,
and one. Yeah, so it's like hard to talk about the other ones and stuff like that. But yeah, no,
Highly recommend them, though,
I
man. Like-
totally agree with you, First Class, and I will watch Tintin as soon as you watch Darkest Hour. That is my deal with you.
Whereas Attack the Block, you'll just watch at some point.
Yeah, because it sounds fun. But like Tintin, you're gonna have to make me watch it, man. So you better watch Darkest Hour. Don't be messing with me. Don't mess
I
with me.
will. I think I
No
did a better.
reverse
I feel like
psychology.
I did a better pitch for Tintin than I did for Attack the Block, but I'm glad that you like Attack the Block.
Well, man, it just sounds fun. I like aliens
They're-
and stuff and like British people. There was a very interesting sense of humor that I
They're
enjoy.
always weird. They're all weird movies too. Like my three picks, because when you think
Yeah.
about First Class, at the end of the day, it is a weird movie. But like the ones I picked are all very weird, and I'm okay with that because they
A
were.
little bit out there.
I'm fine with that because that makes cinema interesting.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Totally agree. But yeah, good picks for 2011. I think overall, the year was pretty solid. Again, there was nothing for me that was like, oh my god, I loved this movie. And I think there was, a couple for you that you found very entertaining and great that you love. So that's great. But yeah, I think 2011 was a pretty solid year overall. Glad we got to revisit it. Okay, so scare question for you for this episode. Getting ready for Halloween. Ooh, boo.
Ooh,
Man, there he goes. I scared him. Okay,
that's
scare
all the emotion I
question.
can show.
This is how scared I am. What genre of horror scares you the most? That's the question. What genre, I guess it'd be like a subgenre of horror, scares you the most? If you're looking to really get scared, what movie you going to, man?
That's so it's weird for me because I don't actively watch horror movies to get scared. Like I'm not one of those people. I'm not one of those
Just
people
kidding.
who I
Coward.
I don't watch it to try and get scared. I like it to try and enjoy the movie. Like
Yeah.
it's really weird for me because at the end of the day, like I do want to feel some sort of fear or like the ones I like or think are good ones are the
Mm-hmm.
ones that stick with me.
Right.
They're the ones that haunt me well after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
They're not so much the ones that make me jump because again, like a lot of the
Well,
problem with a
no,
lot of
yeah,
the
and I
problem
and
with a
I
lot of
don't
horror movies,
I don't
it's they don't
necessarily mean
scare
which.
me,
Yeah, I'm not saying
but
which
they
ones
startle
necessarily
you.
make you like jump, but like which ones like impact you. It's like scare you that way. You know what I mean? That like sticks with you not because
So
it's like a great piece of art, but like sticks with you because like it chills you to your bone. You
so
know
it's
what are the
it's it's really
genre that actually scares you?
it's really interesting because I talked to my friend about this and then we actually I actually like read a bit of a study on it and honestly for me it's a lot of ghost movies or a lot of
Yeah.
movies that have to deal with like supernatural forces. Whereas talking to my friend, she's like, no, it's a lot more of like the real life killers, the things that could happen to you in real life.
Yeah.
And I did some research into it, and apparently there's even some studies that show the reason why like men are more afraid of like supernatural thrillers is because they don't view it as a threat that they can actually fight off. And women don't get scared by that
I'm
stuff
shaking
because
my
they're
head right
more
now because
um,
I agree.
because a lot of times specifically in certain culture, like a lot of like just how the world is, there's a
In
lot more
society, men are
actual
dicks.
physical threats within society towards women than there is to men.
Yeah.
So men don't really get frightened by physical threats because we also always have that stupid masculinity idea where we can
We're
like
just gonna fight it off. I'll
yeah
fight
I
a bear. I'll
I'll just
fight a
I'll
bear.
just fight Jason Voorhees, no problem. Like it's
Like
pretty easy.
supernatural guy never dies. I could take him.
Zombies, I'll just get some guns and shoot them, no
Yeah,
problem.
yeah,
But
exactly.
like it's a ghost, we can't touch the ghost, we're gonna die.
Yeah,
Like it's weird. Like it's really
you
weird
gonna
where that's
die.
actually also existential horror really scares me. Ones that actually make me think and like dread. Anything that makes me like actually contemplate my own existence in life
Mm-hmm.
freaks me out. Like I'm very if I'm looking for something that's actually going to like keep me up at night, it's ghost based ones. It's got to be something that is something I can't actually rationalize. And honestly,
Yeah.
it's weird. It doesn't have to be gory. In fact,
No,
if it's gory, I don't get like
it's
that doesn't stick with
unrealistic.
me. Well, because and for me, like I've gotten heavy into makeup effects. I love that stuff. So when I'm looking at gore, I don't sit there and go like, oh, yeah, like it's really realistic
That's
and
real
really like
blood.
that's what's
Yeah.
happening. I sit there and go like, so that's corn syrup, that's latex, that's how they're doing this. Ooh, I wonder how they like. A lot of times it's more excitement, like, ooh, how did they make that? How did they do that effect? How did
Yeah.
they do that?
How did they make that
Whereas
happen?
where it's when it's a ghost, when it's just a shadowy figure, I know how they did that, but I don't like it.
Like I
Like
don't
it's
like it.
like it's I'm not afraid of the dark, but I'm afraid of what's in the dark with me that I
Yeah,
can't see.
homie, Matt, around the nose.
Like, and
Yep.
it's my friend pointed that out to me. She's like, "Yeah, like it's not your. I've been saying that for a while." And then we were talking, and just bluntly said that to me. She's like, yeah, see, you're never afraid of the dark, but you're afraid of what's in the dark. And I'm like, yes, 100%. That is exactly what scares me.
Yeah.
And it's again, I think it translates to even to nightmares, because in nightmares, how good are you at fighting physical fights in your nightmares ever?
Depends. Sometimes I'm absolutely pathetic and I punch something and like nothing happens, which is incredibly frustrating. But other times I beat someone's head in with a hammer. So like who knows? It's just
I mean,
toss
like
up, man.
I feel like if you're succeeding at beating something, you're probably not having a nightmare. You're probably just having a decent dream because you can actually win.
It was interesting. It was kind
But
of like a weird Viking raid type thing. So
but
yeah, it
like
was pretty cool.
in
The
in
hammer
in
one.
in my nightmares when I can't fight things back,
Messed up. Yeah.
that's what sticks with me. That's what, like, man, like there are just times where I fully admit I've watched some movies like The Conjuring. After I watched
Yeah.
The Conjuring, I had to sleep with the lights on. Like
You're just
there are
like,
certain
hell
films
no.
that, like, I'm just like, nope. I need to see every corner of my room. I am not gonna turn off the light and be like, is that
Yeah.
a shadowy figure over there? And like, so with me too. So without my glasses, I'm freaking blind.
Can't see shit. Yeah.
I am everything is just a blurry shape.
Yeah.
So now if there's any shadows that I can see being cast, any defined shadows with my glasses on, they suddenly become blurry dark spots.
Yeah.
Which that's a ghost in my brain. I'm like,
That
that
like
blurry
that
dark
doesn't
spot,
help.
that's a ghost. That's so like I've had that where I've turned on
Okay, that is the worst. Yeah.
there was, oh man, I had this weird, I don't think it was a dream, but it had like I had to be a dream, but I don't think it was a dream. I was just sleeping, but I wasn't even asleep. I was awake. This is why it frustrates me. I was awake, and there was suddenly this like weird shadowy gorilla beast wolf demon thing that walks over to my bed and like hovers over me in glowing red eyes, and like I verbally yell, swing my arm and turn on the light, and it's gone. I'm awake during this whole thing. I, I wasn't
What?
I wasn't asleep. It wasn't a dream because I everything, and I left the lights on that night. I was
I wouldn't be going back to bed. I'd be like, I think I'm just gonna shoot. I'm just gonna die. I think I'm just gonna die here. Like that's it.
dude, it was one of the most horrifying things. And like again, it probably was a dream, but I don't remember falling asleep. I
Yeah, it
wasn't
could be
asleep.
one of
Like
those in betweens. Is what's that's usually when you see
probably,
shit
but
was like
like
in between.
man, like it stuck with me. Another time, Prosser was visiting, and I
Okay, I
had an
want to
Iron
sleep
Man.
tonight. Still, just toss that out there. My God, I'm
Hmm?
gonna get scared from this question more than you.
Good.
Okay,
But
keep
like,
going.
so I have this Iron Man 2 poster,
Yeah.
and so it has Rhodey and it has Tony in their
Yep.
costumes and a little space in between them. And now when the lights are off, it looked like there was just a head on the top of my wall, and then it was just a dark, because it was like
Oh
a
yeah.
wall and then into darkness, so it looked like there was a head there. And I think it was Prosser who said it to me. We're just sitting there lying. He's like, "Doesn't that look like Slender Man up there?" And I'm like, "Why would you
Why
say
did you
that when
say
you're
that?
trying to sleep?"
My God.
Like, man, like it's I always feel like I see things out of the corner of my eyes all the time. Like it's bizarre. Like it's unsettling, and I'm just
Oh
like,
man, well I saw that little floaty orb man in
yep.
your pod like the other like couple weeks back. I was like, yo, there's like a
I
ghost man. The orb
I
just
have a
floated
hard
into your
time
screen and just hung out.
I have a hard time looking into doorways if I'm
Yeah.
going into a room. And it's pitch black. I won't look at the doorway. I'll actually look at the floor or look around and reach in. And that's
Yeah.
another one of my big fears is I'm gonna reach in for the light switch, and there's gonna be a hand on that light switch.
You're just gonna lose it.
Yeah. I don't like looking outside of windows
Yep.
either. So for the longest time that was one of my biggest fears, was looking out a window, because you know how when it's nighttime and you turn off the window, or you turn off all the lights in the out or in the inside of the house, and you can see clearly through your window,
Right. Yeah.
and just seeing a face staring back at you, that like I wouldn't be able to be okay with that, even if it's like a burglar or something like that. Like it's
Ooh, yeah.
So that freaked me out until one night I was driving away from my house. I was pulling out of the driveway and I looked up and I'm like, you know what would be terrifying right now? If I looked up and saw a face inside my window, like in my
That would be
empty house.
worse. Yep. Yep.
And suddenly, like, that was a whole new source of nightmare fuel.
Now I can't look at fucking
like,
windows ever.
Man,
Oh
like,
my god.
I'm a very jumpy person. I'm a very, like, my imagination is the worst part for it because at the end of the day, I know that's what it is.
We're so on
Like,
the same page there, man. We're so
like
on
my
the same
imagination
page.
makes everything. I see a shadow and I immediately like, oh, what's that? There, that's the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But it's never
Well,
reasonable
I'm gonna
things.
die.
It's
Like,
never
no,
reasonable things. It's
no.
never like,
It's always the
oh man,
unreasonable.
that's just a jacket that's casting that. Oh, those are just my blinds. Oh, that's this thing. It's like, oh,
Nope, ghost.
I'm gonna die.
I'm gonna die. No, man.
Like,
Totally. I hear that. I totally hear that.
like no,
No, I'm like,
it's.
yeah, I'm like, oh, why you gotta talk about all my worst fears?
Look, man, you asked me a question. I answered the question. I'm assuming your answer is the exact same as as my answer, where it's gotta be them ghost films.
Well, here's the deal, man. When you were talking about that study, um, that just struck so home. I'm like, that study could have been done just with me as an individual person, because that's totally true. Like the films where it's like an animal, or the films that are like murder, Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees, like that type of shit doesn't bother me. Like I could watch that all day and not be worried about it at
Freddy
all. And
Krueger,
Freddy Krueger, slightly different, kind of the
right?
same though, so it's not really that scary, right? And like because it's very much imaginary. Um and like a lot of like the monster stuff, anything that's like out of the realm of reality doesn't bother me. Or even things that are slightly in the realm of reality doesn't really bother me that much because it's just like again, it's that male thing. It's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna fight it off. And like,
I'm a
listen,
tough guy.
I'm not a jack dude. I'm not a super strong guy. I'm not gonna lie. So it's like, I would totally die, but I'd fight a bear, no problem. Like, I always think like, I'll wrestle a dog,
Oh,
I'll kick the shit out of
dude,
Cujo. I don't care. You know what I
honestly
mean?
though, honestly, what makes me the most uncomfortable in movies, and
Yeah,
it's not even like it's not even horror movies, but like if someone graphically gets eaten alive, that terrifies me. That makes me so uncomfortable. If there's like a tiger attack, or if there's like crocodile or anything like that, like
oh
not in a
yeah, the crocodile.
not in like a campy way, like Peter Pan or Indiana Jones Temple of Doom and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But like when it's like a visceral, like someone is
very
getting ripped to
graphic.
shreds, because like, dude, that's real.
Yeah, that shit
That's
happens.
something
Yeah,
that
yeah.
and that's one of my biggest fears is being eaten alive. Like whether by person and cannibal, or like
That would be worse.
or like by an animal, like it's terrifying because it's like, what are you gonna do?
You
Like, what
did.
do you? Yeah, but
Okay,
you.
yes. Fair enough. Fair. But I can watch movies about it, but like real life, yeah. Like I ain't effing with a bear. You know what I'm saying? Like bears freak me out because like bears will destroy the shit out of you. Like you just so dead you don't even know. Um, but yeah, no, there was a crocodile movie. I think it was literally called Crocodile, and like I can't remember if it was a chick or a dude. Like literally got like just eaten. Like the crocodile was like shaking its head. You saw its like legs, her legs going like down its like gullet. I was like, that's fucked. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was crazy. There's some crazy
What's
stuff.
That's why Jaws, man, Jaws stuck with me for like I
Yeah,
can't. Well, number one, I can't swim, and number two, like sharks freak me out, like hands down. I love
yeah.
Jaws, but like still, like the idea of like you're just swimming, minding your business, and suddenly you're getting eaten. Like,
That
yeah,
sounds like a really bad day at the beach. Sounds like a
yo.
really bad day at the beach.
What we're learning is there's a lot of things that scare me. Apparently,
Ethan's like, I don't think I'm leaving the house
um,
anytime soon, guys. In fact, maybe I
romantic,
should leave the house because it's making it worse. I don't know what to do.
romantic comedies scare me because I can't. I'm afraid of commitment. Um,
There you go. Let's not get too deep. Let's not get too deep.
you asked what
Um,
kind of movies scare me, man.
romantic comedies. I'm not funny and I'm not romantic. This is terrible.
Oh no, I'm hilarious, but I just no one
Oh,
wants me.
No, man, don't. This question is terrifying. It truly is a scary question.
Hey man, you
But
you
yeah,
brought
like,
this upon
but
yourself, bud.
li- listen, like I can watch those movies, it's fine. But yeah, like you, it's the demon stuff, man. It's the ghost shit. Cause at the end of the day, people are like, that ain't real. Bullshit, that ain't real, man. That is some very real stuff.
See,
And
and
like,
like,
okay, a lot of it, some of those movies are very exaggerated and wouldn't actually happen. But there's some shit in there, man, that definitely could happen. So like, let's not be playing around here, guys. Like, no one be touching a Ouija board in my house. Like, I would lose my mind if someone brought a Ouija board in my house. I will like, it's like I will shoot you. You get that out. I don't have a gun, but I will go buy one and I will come back and I will shoot you. Get that out of my house. You know what I
you know,
mean?
it's
Like, I just
it's so
like I don't f
inconsequential.
around with that kind of stuff. Nope.
It's so
Nope.
inconsequential to the plot that
Nope.
everyone forgets what it's about. But like, The Exorcist is totally like the whole situation of The Exorcist is caused because she's messing around with a Ouija board.
Yeah.
And then it immediately, like, as soon as like the possession happens, it's like that's the Ouija board doesn't even matter anymore. It's like, okay,
Yeah, that
that's
part of
done.
it. It's like, okay,
But like,
so we got the demon here. Yeah.
demon ones don't necessarily scare me as much as ghosts do for some reason. Like, demons kind of do, but not really, because I'm very much of the mindset of good versus evil, and that good will win.
Why do we keep losing each
But that's
other?
how I've always been.
Come
That's how
on.
I've always looked out on. So that's why I love The Exorcist. I absolutely love The Exorcist because that's, to me, it's a story of triumph. It's a story of someone who lost their faith, finding it again to triumph over evil.
Right.
And like, that's why I love that movie so much. And like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what it is, but like when it comes to demons movies, I'm not that scared. Like, I'm
Well,
uncomfortable
man,
at
like,
times, but
nope, man, demons get me probably worse. Like if you were like, let's watch The Exorcist tonight, I'd be like, that's a big 10-4 or hell no on that. Like, it's just not a chance in hell that that is happening. Yeah, no, there's definitely certain movies that stick with me and
well, it's like,
images that make me like very like, ugh. About those types of things. And again, it's not even so much the visuals, it's the stuff, a lot of the stuff you don't see. It's the shadows, it's the
or
things
it's your
moving
imagination afterwards.
with, it's the things moving with, out actually anyone doing anything, right? Like that freaks me out. But yeah, most of the time, it's not even necessarily the movie itself, it's your imagination afterwards. And your imagination, doesn't like, if you're scared of like a murderer, well, you have to imagine pretty hard to see a murderer in your house. You know what I mean? With like a ghost, that doesn't take very much imagination, man. Like how much should, again, like you said, when you walk down a hall and you see something out of the corner of your eye, like that stuff happens all the time. Like just randomly. You know what I mean? Like, and it's usually nothing. It's like a shadow or something, or just something your brain processed a certain way. But it's like, oh, not ghost. I'm gonna die. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't take much to get to that. It's not a very far leap. Um, and I'm definitely someone who has experienced a few things here and there. Nothing like you with something crawling over my bed because I literally would die. I think that would be the end of me. I'd be like, I'm just
It
gonna
was
lay here and die.
horrifying, dude.
I'm gonna lay, like, don't even tell me that, man, because if I dream about that tonight, I'm going to kill you. I will haunt you, and I will kill you. Like I would, like it will be like, oh, Ethan died. He got killed by a ghost, and I'd be like, that ghost was me, sucker. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know why I'm even talking like that. That's how nervous I'm getting right now. You're freaking me out,
Making you
man.
sweat.
you're, you're making me say like, you know what I'm saying, man? Like you're making me say weird things
Dude,
that I wouldn't normally say.
I'm
Um,
sorry. You asked me a question, and
I know, but now we're getting into some like real, because like then you go talk about the fears, like, oh, I hate looking out the window and like in doorways, like into dark, and I'm like, god damn it, that's
well, it's
because there's always some
honestly,
scene or always something where someone does any like, and that's the thing about demon movies or ghost movies. It's always like in a house that's like average as hell, and they're doing an average everyday thing, and that's like surprise ghost. It's like, oh man, like
what's
that's what
the
makes it annoying.
the funniest thing for me though is like, so specifically, The Conjuring. That's a
Yeah,
ghost movie,
yeah.
right? That one really scared me, and still does. Then there's The
It's a creepy
Conjuring.
movie. It was
Then there's The
really good,
Conjuring.
but it's super creepy.
Then there's The Conjuring 2, where there's some ghost stuff, but at the end it's revealed one of the ghosts and the kind of the cause behind everything is a demon. So
Yeah.
suddenly I'm like not scared of that movie because it's a demon.
Well, and again, they like show you it. You know what I mean? Like it kind of breaks that.
Well, it
Yeah,
takes
there's
away the
certain
power
things
because it
in
gives them a name.
visuals. Yeah.
Like no, but it's like I don't know, man. Like it's just one of those things. I've always been more scared of like I don't know. Like it's weird. It's really weird because things just scare me, and then if I see them in a movie, that's what scares me.
Yeah.
It's weird, and I think you hit the nail on the head where it's mostly it's the imagination.
It's the
That's what's gonna
imagination
mess you up the
after the
most.
fact. And like we are very highly imaginative type people.
Mm-hmm.
So like some people can just turn it off. It doesn't bug them at all, right? But then there's like me, I like sit there like in the dark, gotta listen to my music or something, because it's like I don't want to hear anything around the room. I'm just gonna, you know, damn it, Ethan. Now I'm not gonna want to go to bed. I gotta go to
Well,
bed
maybe
because
this
I
is
gotta
a
wake
good
up in
maybe
the
this is a
morning.
good place to end our conversation.
No, we gotta keep talking about this.
We can
I'm
pick
just,
this up. But Matt,
I'm
we
just
can
kidding. This
continue
is a
this
good this is a
conversation
good
next
lead up
week.
to the Halloween episode that will be airing next week. So that'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, no, like for me, I'm definitely with you. It's ghost movies, it's demon movies, it's anything supernatural because you can't fight it. You can't. You're just you just dead. Okay, you just dead. That's the end of the day. Um, but yeah, no, and again, like you said, it's definitely the imagination after the fact. And next week, I'll talk about our paranormal activity experience, where it's like that movie really stoked like a lot of stuff for me and a couple of my buddies that night. And then a couple weird things happened afterwards too. So that'll be a fun story to get into once we do. But yeah, no, I think you're right. That's a good place to just wrap it up. Let's stop talking about creepy things and so we can get some sleep tonight. Damn it, Ethan. Always bringing on creepy shit right at
You
the
asked me. This was your question. I asked the Halloween candy last week.
end. What fell? Oh my
Nope,
god.
that was Prosser sneezing.
Oh. I was like, something fell in your house. Run, everyone, run. If you're listening to
No,
the podcast, run.
no, that was just my roommate sneezing because good timing.
Oh.
But
Now I'm
like,
just
like
now we're all
man,
just like jumpy as hell. Run, run,
I'm good. I'm fine.
run, run.
That means I'm gonna go first.
No, yeah, exactly.
I'm the one who's like,
Well,
I'm fine. It's
I
cool.
am the black guy. I might die first. You never know.
It's 2020, Matt. That doesn't mean anything now.
Yeah, nowadays it's
If
pretty.
anything, your odds have gone up.
You know what the best horror movie I've ever seen? Not ever, but like, and by best I mean super super funny. Was was it called House of Wax? It
Yeah,
had
the
like
Paris Hilton one.
yeah, that movie was hilarious. Did you see that movie?
No, I've only seen like one of the original versions from like the 1950s. I've never actually seen the 2000 and something.
Like the newer one? Yeah, like
Yeah,
it's not newer by nowadays, but it was like new early 2000s, I think. Um no, it
is
was
it?
pretty funny. It was pretty funny. Like her death scene was pretty funny. Another one that was great was Ginger Snaps. That was I think it was Ginger Snaps 2. It was a werewolf movie.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Alex were watching it, and I literally predicted like everything that was gonna happen. I'm like, and werewolf in 3, 2, 1. Oh, look, there it is. Like it literally, and I'd never seen the movie before, but it was the most predictable movie I'd ever seen. And that's what I
I
was
did
talking
that
about
with
horror movies, man. They're so
I did that
like
with
they're so much fun.
I did that with Commando. It's not a horror movie, but it's an action movie. I did it with
Yeah,
Commando and Prosser. He about like 15 minutes in, he got mad at me and told me just to watch the movie and stop guessing what
he's
was
like,
happening.
I'm out of here. Yeah, some movies are just very predictable. That
Yeah,
one was like terribly predictable, but there's a lot of funny that's the thing about horror, like I was saying before, like the older they get, like if they're really bad, they become very funny a little bit later on, right? Ah, yeah. What was another funny one? I think it was a zombie one. Me and Chris were watching it one time, bust a gut. because there was this. It was like an older one too, and I can't remember which, if it was Night of the Living Dead or whatever, or something dead. I don't know. And it had like a zombie, but it was like a stubbed zombie, so it only had like stubs for legs and
Oh,
arms.
that's Return to the Living Dead.
Yeah, Return of the
I
Living
love,
Dead.
dude.
Like the guy
I
closes the
love,
door and it's right there. The man, he's like running
yes,
and he's so scared, and this
dude.
thing could like barely chase him.
I
We
love Return to the
laughed
Living Dead.
so
It is
hard.
one of the funniest zombie movies ever made.
Oh
It is
my
so
god,
good,
it was
and it's
so
like,
funny.
dude, it's good on so many levels because like it's funny, the effects are great, the acting is hilarious. Like it's,
Yeah.
dude, like it's so well done. It was
So
such a
good.
massive production too, but we can talk
So
about
good.
that all
But
next
yeah,
week.
that stuff doesn't scare me. But like, yeah, throwing some ghost shit, I'm like, I'm out, man. I'm
Oh
out.
yeah,
That's it. That's it for me. And speaking of out, we're out. We're getting out of here. That's it for tonight. Segue.
let us know.
Next week, Halloween. We'll do a full
Ooh,
episode on all that goodness. That'll be fun. That'll be a fun conversation.
let us
Switching
know
up a bit.
what movie genres scare you the most down below.
Yes, indeed. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the end of 2011. That's our scare question of the day. Very scary for me. I don't know if I'm going to be sleeping tonight. Thanks a
I'll be
lot,
doing fine.
Ethan.
You asked the question.
You didn't have to tell me about the bear thing that was on top of you. I don't know how
I'm
that
sorry,
worked.
it came to mind, and I thought you would enjoy to hear about it.
I did enjoy it actually. It was pretty fun.
Exactly. I
I'm
was
not gonna
being a
have a
good
problem
friend.
sleeping at all. It's just it's fun. It's
Just
fun.
hold your wife. Just hold your wife.
Ah, yeah. Protect me. Protect
Exactly.
me. Oh, listen, we're gonna leave before I get any more sad or lose any more of my dignity. Coward. Ethan, where can the good people find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram at Ethan R. Hill. Doing a vinyl challenge that I mentioned last week. Still doing it to the end of the month. You can find me on YouTube at Ethan R. Hill as well. And yeah, that's pretty well it. Damned Rights, my movie, that is on its own website at damnedrights.com. You can find a link there to rent or buy the movie digitally at realhouse.org.
Cool. And it is a horror movie, so there you go. Perfect for
Yeah,
Halloween.
yes.
And Ethan licks every copy that he sends out.
There's
COVID
no physical
approved.
copies right now because of COVID. No physical copies.
Okay, no physical copies. But if you want one, he'll lick one for you. Just saying. It's if you
Yes.
really want it. If you really want it, he'll do it. He'll do it. Okay, you can find me at Twitter at storytellers for the number 4 and then capital L. Okay, at Twitter at storytellers number 4 capital L stands for Storytellers for Life. That's my YouTube channel. Come on by anytime you'd like. There's literally nothing there. Actually, there's some old videos there from earlier COVID that I was messing around with. So you can find those there for your own pure entertainment. But we're really going to be starting content hopefully middle to end of November, early December, somewhere in that kind of window. It's like a 2 week window or so, 2-3 week window. But it's all about helping storytellers reignite your dreams, live your purpose, and tell your stories. And we're going to be digging into a lot of inspirational, motivational content. We're going to be breaking down some storytelling tools, whether you're talking about writing or speaking. And it's all about, just building that community to support each other so we can all achieve our goals. And it's kind of what it's all about. So if you're into storytelling, or if you want to do writing, if you want to learn more about speaking, if that kind of stuff excites you, or you have some goals you want to achieve, come on by anytime. You can subscribe, and the content will start coming out fairly soon. But right now, it's under construction. Other than that, that's about it for us. This has been episode 17, part 2 of A Feast of Films. I'm Matt Black, and with me as always is
Ethan R. Hill.
And that's it for us. Have a good night.
Have a good week, everybody. We will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
So long.
Toodaloo.
And good luck sleeping tonight, Matt. I almost hung up the phone as opposed to just stopping recording.
Like, oops.